um, and was able to do that and continue to grow my business. And so I grew the automobile business for about the next year, and then I ended up selling it and getting into the surety bond business and really specializing in surety bonds.
John had also created a wonderfully successful company and had sold that company at a record profit. He'd done phenomenally well drinking. Now the two of us get together in about 2001, and it was not uncommon for us to look at each other at a dinner at one of these meetings and go, I wonder if we can do this sober. We were so successful drinking. Can we really do this sober?
I had struggled with alcohol over the years. Matter of fact, I had gone to my first AA meeting back when I was in my 20s, and had thought about quitting then, and did quit. I quit for certain periods of time, whether it be for weeks or for months, but I'd quit at different points in time. After I got married, I used to ask my ex-wife whether or not she thought I ought to quit drinking, and she always said no, and I'd wondered if it would make things better if I'd quit drinking. And then my oldest son, JT, when he was 9 years old, he asked me if I'd quit drinking, and I knew that was it. I just stopped. Within a few days of JT asking me that, I quit drinking and hadn't had a drink since. That was June 9th of 1999 that I quit.
In the Bible, it references the fact that to be supportive of somebody, you shouldn't necessarily tempt them. And John is constantly in environments that the world tempts him. I mean, John has a great deal of self-discipline. I know he stopped smoking and drinking, and I know they're both things that he enjoyed. I mean, he enjoyed smoking. I mean, he got a great deal of satisfaction out of it, and he enjoyed drinking, and he got a great deal of satisfaction out of it. And so for him to give up both those issues and be very consistent, I mean, he's never fallen back on it. It's something I've got a great deal of respect for, because I've never smoked, and I don't drink that much, so I don't fully comprehend how much it did require, but I know enough people who have addictive behaviors to know how challenging it can be. And John has been very, very disciplined about it. He made the commitment back when the boys were born that he wouldn't smoke and he wouldn't drink, and he's honored that commitment.
John and I were drawn together because we have common issues and work common problems and programs, and it gave him a great compassion for other people who are going through difficulties. One of the things about alcoholism is drug addiction is it doesn't have anything to do with your education or your status in life or how much money you have. It just it's an equal opportunity problem, and it's given him compassion for his son, deep love and respect for his son and Stephen and all of his children. We walked together through that issue of alcoholism.
Me and my dad share the fact that we're both alcoholics. He's had a struggle with alcohol. I've had my struggle with alcohol and a huge variety of substances. When I think about my dad, I think about this great man who has accomplished a lot. My dad has accomplished a lot.
It's been interesting for me having lived through that and quit drinking and kind of understand addiction, because I was somebody who's had a very addictive personality. I was addicted to smoking, and when I smoked way too much. And I was addicted to drinking, and when I drink way too much. I've been addicted to Nicorette gum for 17 or 18 years since I quit smoking cigarettes, and so I kind of somewhat understand addiction from that aspect, from what I've lived through in my life. So it's been interesting and to kind of live through and see addiction with Stephen, with my middle son, and kind of his battles through that and his successes through that and his ability to overcome addiction and dealing with an addictive personality and be able to overcome that has been great to see Stephen's battles and ability to overcome it. It's also tough living through some of the things that we lived through because of it. And I got married in 1986, and it was a challenging year business-wise, and there were struggles between Linda and I. We had 3 boys, which greatly helped and made our marriage, I think, better and stronger. Throughout that, we had some different points in time where we went to counseling, trying to get the marriage to be better. I remember one particular time that was about 10 years into our marriage that I was hopeful that things would improve. That didn't particularly get any better. We were married for 20 years, and unfortunately we got a divorce.
I remember when he was going through that divorce, how he was absolutely moral, he was absolutely kind, he was absolutely generous, and troubled that relationship just hadn't worked. It broke his heart.
The challenges of going through the divorce was always difficult for John. The challenges of dealing with his 3 sons have always been a challenge. I mean, they're all very unique. John acknowledges they all have wonderful gifts, but they've all tested him.
He and I share some common traits. We share some common problems, and we've been there for each other from time to time as we've gone through things with family and addiction and life. He's a good listener. He's a good friend.
The fact is, we've always loved each other, and we always remain to love each other, and it's unconditional. We're family.
One of the core fundamentals that I've always had is telling the truth, and I think people around me have tended to know that, and I've been proud of my boys for picking up on that fact, and I hope they stick with that their whole life, and that their kids end up sticking with that, because I think when you get to the end and you look back, you're never going to regret having told the truth in every situation that you ever can. It's really important, and I think it's something that I hope I'm able to pass on. When I was about 16 years old, I ended up leaving the Catholic Church, and ever since then I have not been a big fan of organized religion. But here at Chapelwood for the last 18 years, I developed a great connection with Jim Jackson, and I've developed such a great connection that it's given me a new feeling and a new understanding and appreciation for the church and what the church can do and what it means. And I've just loved being a part of Chapelwood.
His generosity has expanded far beyond the scope of this church. He believes in helping the kingdom and helping people.
My dad's a real giving person. I'm really proud of my dad with the charity work he's done. It's really set an example.
When he gives more than just money. He's giving of himself and of his time. He gets personally involved in the charities he's involved in.
He got interested in Texas Children's Hospital when his son, David, was having a problem and was paralyzed for a period of time. Texas Children helped his son, and so he wanted to make a difference in helping Texas Children's Hospital, and he has. In fact, he had done that before, but much more after, because he knew the difference that hospital had made.
I know that he took the better part of a year or two when he really threw himself into the search organization.
One of the projects that he's gotten passionate about is Search, which is a homeless ministry in Houston, Texas.
Search Homeless Services is a not-for-profit organization in Houston, Texas that helps people move from the streets into jobs and safe, stable housing. So we focus on 5 different areas to help people make that transition possible: engaging, stabilizing, educating, employing, and housing people. Education includes our House of Tiny Treasures, which is the development of toddlers and children to help them to be ready for public school. John was introduced to us by another board member who is also a friend of his, Larry Hurd. So one of the phrases that John said to me, he said, if it was easy, anybody would do it. When he was chair of the board 3 years ago, oftentimes he would bring up the question of where is God in search? Faith is a very important part of his life and of the work that he does.
I've made more money than I deserve. I think there's a responsibility that comes with that, and there's things that you can do with it, and I think that's part of charitable giving and giving back, both when I'm alive and when I'm gone, in terms of wanting to give back to those who haven't been as fortunate on the financial side as I have. JT, Stephen, David, my parents, grandparents lived into their 80s, 90s, maybe beyond, I hope, with my parents, but we don't like to think we're going to live to that age, but there's no guarantees. We may not make it past next week. We never know. That's why I wanted to make this video for you and wanted to share some of the ideas, some of the thoughts, some of the feelings, and share a little bit of my life. Hopefully, there are some assets that could fund the Knox Children's Trust, and if there are some assets that have funded that, then there's also been funding to the JKJ Charitable Foundation. That's a foundation that I would love for you guys to get involved with, to serve on the board of if you'd like to help give away some money, to help give back to society. Some of the money that I haven't given, that I did not get the chance to give away in my lifetime. And I would love for you to be involved in that. One of the things that I hope, and one of the takeaways I hope from this, is that you will also learn to give in your life. We've been given a lot. We've been very lucky. And we've been very blessed. It's something more than luck that it's been given. It's a blessing. And we have a duty and a right to give back to others. And I hope that a minimum of 10% of what y'all make will be given back to others and given back to those in need. And you'll find some things in society to give back to. I wanted to take this time to tell you guys that I'm sorry if I'm not there to grow up with you from this point forward, but that I love you, and I hope that you guys know how much that I really do, and that I hope you have a terrific life, and I appreciate you very much. Love you.